Hello everyone, this is step 2 of learning tips and tricks for your VTuber models or illustrations. Now, one of the comments that I saw was regarding the navigation window. Now, in regards to the navigation window, it's this thing right up here. I have mine super tiny right now. So, anytime you are looking at a project, you're super zoomed in. And there's a tiny red box depending on the view of what you're looking at in. See? You can see it much more clearly now. I've made this box bigger. Some people might find that annoying. I personally never used the navigation bar. What I do is I make a new window of my project. So it's a duplicated project that you can see and react in real time. So, for example, if I draw something on this layer over here, as you can see, it shows up on my other project. This is really helpful for models and just illustrations as well. If you want to see a full view version without having to zoom in and zoom out. So for example, let's say I wanted to draw something really tiny. You can slightly see it popping up on the other project. It's this tiny little dot right here. So that way you don't have to constantly zoom in and zoom out. Sometimes you might want to manually adjust and do some turns just so you can figure out your positioning. But this is how to get around that navigation red bar tool if you don't like that. Now, another one, color history. When I would work on models and VTuber projects, I hated that when I was working on stuff, sometimes I would forget specifically the color that I was using, and I would use or right click this little function. What this little function does when you right click somewhere on your canvas when you're working on artworks is it will copy the color that you're hovering over. Now, what I would do is bring up color history. And what that does is it logs every color you have ever used on a project. To bring it up, if you can't find it as easily, what you want to do is you want to go to Windows and you want to go to color history. I have mine already popped up and I've put it behind me, but I'll pop it back out so you guys can see. It looks like this. Every color I have ever used on a project shows up here. As you can see, the purples that I was using in my previous video are right here. Now another one. Some people like giving things borders or having blur effects. There's two ways that you can do this. You can either use garrison blur or border effect, depending on what kind you'd like. So I'm going to draw a banana real quick. So this is my banana. Some people would normally add a white blur around it. So if I wanted a harsher one, let's say this is for stickers. Some people would manually draw around it. As you can see, it's inconsistent, it can be lumpy, and it doesn't look that great. But what I found is using a border effect. If you can't find your border effect, what you want to do is you want to go to Window, and you want to go to layer properties, and it will make this window here. I've just popped it into this area because it's above my layer, so it's easier for me to manage my layout. So if I delete this real quick, if I put a border effect around this, As you can see, there is a white line. And I can actually change the size if I wanted to. Now, depending on your specs of your PC, it might lag because it's trying to like predetermine and render stuff for you. So just give it a little second, depending on if you have a good PC or a little baby PC. If you're someone who hates doing line arts, you could actually use this feature, but pre-warned. With using this feature, if you are wanting to use it for models, if you have a border effect on a layer, you must compress the layer because the border effect doesn't translate over to live 2D. So an easy way to do this is just by making a fresh new layer and compressing it. That will make the border stay there. And like, let's say, oh, but I don't want this certain section to show the white border. Just draw over it once you have. Just do a little bit of work. It's a little bit extra, but it will save you a ton of time if you hate doing line art. Another one is Garrison Blur. I am not 100% sure if I said that correctly. Hopefully I did. So what Garrison Blur is, it is the blurred version of that. So some people would normally take an airbrush, for an example, and they would manually go around the entire thing and draw a faded blur. I've done a very sloppy, simple way to make the point across, but what I do when I want to avoid that, especially if you have like a bunch of like orbs or something like that, what I do is I duplicate the layer, I make the base color of it one specific color of what I want that orb to be. And then I go up to these menus up here. And what you want to go to is filters, blur, and there's a bunch of different blurs here, but the one I found that does what I specifically like to do, I like using this one, Garrison Blur. Now what it does, and I'll move it up here so you can see it in real time. As you can see, there's like a slight little blur here because it's already working. If you want the blur to be more impactful, you just turn up the blur. Now, depending on your PC specs again, it will take a little bit, so give it a moment to process. It's still a little baby bean. This is how you get a more consistent blur without it looking lumpy in certain sections. So hopefully this helps you as well. Now, for every artist, this tip is a lifesaver and a game changer for me. I hated when I would work on projects specifically with the symmetry tool. And it would annoy me a lot when I would use a brush or an eraser and for some reason it would not erase symmetrically. For example, I put the ruler right here. And let's use yellow again. I'm going to draw just some random shapes over here. It would draw symmetrically with this one. But then sometimes, when I would use it, certain brushes would do this. The ruler's still there, but there's no symmetry. And it would drive me nuts because I'm like, where is this? Why is it doing this? Because this other brush does it, but this one doesn't. There has to be something in order to make it work. There is. So I'm going to move my character real quickly. So, in your settings, there's this little button, which is right here. This will pop out a menu. This is your tool properties menu. Now, in order to fix this issue, you want to go to correction, and there's a little button right here called enabled snipping. If you don't want to constantly go into the menu to turn this on and off, because sometimes I like turning it on and off, because I don't like moving my ruler all the time. Because what I do is I put my entire project in one folder and put the ruler on that folder and put everything in the folder in there in separate sub layers and subfolders. And I'll just turn enabled snipping off. So if you have this eye icon, it will actually pop up on the side over here. As you can see, it is right here because I already have it turned on. But if I click this now and save as default and I close it, whatever I do on one, it will do on the other. You can actually do this with pretty much everything. I haven't tried it with the gradient fades yet because I don't use the gradients ever. But if I go to an eraser, I have it right here. So if I erase on one side, oh, my eraser is not using symmetrically. It's annoying me. Da 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 da. Enable snipping. It will erase on both. Another thing, when I was a beginner artist, that would annoy me is shaky hands. Especially switching from a drawing tablet to a display screen tablet. I would be so shaky in making my lines. There's actually a way to help you with that if you have shaky hands or you need a little bit more help. It is called stabilization, which is right here. So if I turn it off, normally brushes will be on 0. So if I do it without the stabilization, it will move exactly to my hand. And if you're super shaky, sometimes that's really annoying. But if you turn it up, stay 100, it makes your lines a lot more smoother and it looks a lot more cleaner. In order to find it, because sometimes some brushes don't have the setting, what you want to go and do is click on the same menu. And what you want to go to is you're going to, I believe, we're going to correction as well. And you want to click this eye icon. If I turn it off, it disappears from my toolbar over here. Turn it back on, save as default. And there you go. A lot of these tricks may become very helpful for you, especially if you're someone that has limited space. Now, there is one that I actually found when I was going on Twitch the other night. And I was looking around to see if any people on Twitch in the art category had something that they didn't have or they did have issues with. One of them was their screen will look so squished and compact. And it's actually a setting or a transversal setting with using tablets. Sometimes it will compress your entire screen to look super tiny. I 100% guarantee you, if you go to your actual PC settings and go to your display and look for your resolution, it will probably be at 150. That is not the normal. Put that to 100 and see a massive difference of how much bigger your screen is going to look. For example, I'm going to quickly do it to show a point because it was really fascinating to me that some people didn't know how to fix this. So I'm going to go to my display and I'm going to identify my settings. I'm using monitor 3 right now. So if your screen looks like something like this, where it's like super compact like this, that's how you get rid of that. Because for some reason, tablets will like compress a screen. Just go to your settings for your actual specs of your PC, go to your system, display, and then it should be in scale, I believe. Some computers are different, some people aren't. But if it says something like 150 recommended, that don't use that. Change it to 100 and it will go back to this. Hopefully that tip helps you, because I found quite a few people with this issue last night. Another one, and this is if you have multiple monitors. Some people have it, for example, I'm going to move this window over, where for their displays, let's say you have like 3 monitors, including your drawing tablet screen. You can actually have it as an extended display. So it's a separate monitor entirely. So you could have your Clip Studio on one screen and your 2 other monitors can be used for other things. Or you can have it for the same one. You can duplicate what happens on one and it goes onto the other. That's another trick. Especially if you're like hating having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or you have one monitor for streaming throughout and then you have to like close down your art program and move it to the side so you can look at chat or look at your OBS to see if everything's okay and this and that. Hopefully that helps you. um Otherwise, I will make another video detailing a bunch of other stuff in the future. These are some things that I found while I was going through the Twitch's art program category and seeing what people were having issues with or trouble with, and just helping them and teaching them new tricks that could possibly save them time. So hopefully this helps you.